Hello everyone, good evening and welcome everyone, thank you. So position your body and speech, mind, and most important intention as we are going to do the teaching session, which is the last teaching session of this perfection of wisdom. So I'd like you to tune your mind and the body, whatever good understanding you have of overall perfection wisdom, particularly when we do these prayers. As we do refuge, we need to incorporate all the parameters in when we're doing the refuge. So, of course, the refuge in the Triple Gem is not just a formality in Buddhism, but it is when you have refuge, you are doing refuge with the greatest devotion to the Buddha is the highest level of what we call generosity, because gift of Dharma is the highest generosity, and our refuge in the Triple Gem and our faith in the refuge and the fact that when we practice Dharma, it empowers us more than tens of millions of people helping us, So we really are true refugees when we know the practice the Dharma ourselves. So that's the generosity. But we need to practice that with the very motivation, with very altruistic motivation, with armored intention for the benefit of all being. When we take refuge also, we need to restrain. We need to practice the discipline from restraining taking refuge and non-objects of refuge. Quite a lot of the time we are taking refuge in a non-object or invalid objects of refuge, in things that are completely wonky and hollow and empty and transient. People are taking refuge in them, but we are not. We're taking refuge in the true valid teachings of the Buddha, and through our own realization we know how authentic, how precious and priceless Dharma is. So that's a discipline, the discipline of not taking refuge wrong, but taking refuge. And then when we are patient while we're doing refuge, when we are tolerating the time and energy and difficulties, and we truly believe in the Dharma, particularly when things are very, very hard, and that's the patience. That's the actual patience. Usually we become agitated and we do not put up with difficulties. But when you have Dharma, you will. Because difficulties aren't someone's imposition on us. Difficulties are one's own karmic predicament. And so when we are patient with the things, we are patient with people, we are not giving them a free ride. When we are patient, we are actually burning our own karmic calories. So practicing patience while doing refuge is perfection of patience, because we are not agitated. We know exactly the futility of agitation. So when we take refuge in the Buddha Dharma, I take refuge and by the merit of giving and the like. So giving generosity, discipline, and then the patience. And we need to take refuge and practice Dharma with joy and gratitude, profound, indescribable. You can't really put words to how much you feel the gratitude to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, the lineage and practitioners. And this kind of joy that we have is just priceless. So therefore, practicing Dharma with diligence and taking refuge in the Dharma, taking refuge in the Triple Gem, it is itself is constitute all the parameters. And then the concentration, where your mind is not distracted, and you have the wisdom to choose the refuge. And in this way, so with this in mind, we will do the refuge in the Triple Gem, and then very strongly invigorate the bodhicitta motivation, which need to be incorporated in every one of those 6 parameters. And all of these practice of bodhicitta and 6 parameters we practice also need to have the discerning wisdom of the emptiness aspect of it. So with this in mind, we'll do the refuge, bodhicitta, 4 immeasurables, very slowly while doing the reflecting on the meanings before the teaching. Thank you, everybody. So we'll screen share the prayers. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Aitere La Dhamma Bhavaja Ajendala Ashara Padavaja and the Buddha Dhamma Sangha Atara Vyata Dhamma Bhavaja Ajendala Ashara Padavaja and the Buddha Dhamma Sangha Atara Vyata Dhamma Bhavaja Ajendala Ashara Padavaja happiness and the cause of happiness, may they be free from suffering, and the cause of suffering, may they never burn from the happiness that no suffering, may they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings have happiness, and the cause of happiness, may they be free from suffering, and the cause of suffering, may they never burn from the happiness that no suffering, may they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings have happiness, and the cause of happiness, may they be free from suffering, and the cause of suffering, may they never burn from the happiness that no suffering, may So, as we know, tonight is our last session, and also we are the last part of the text of Rongton's Perfection Wisdom, which we've been going through quite a few terms. It's very good that all of you have been very consistently able to attend this. So I'm going to read the last part of this text and then followed by meditating on the Heart Sutra that we've been going through. And then, then at the end of the session, I will talk a little bit about how we are going to do a kind of a presentation by each of you on this very theme sometime in the summer. So we're going to organize a weekend. So because you will all have the complete text, which I will send you shortly, and so then you will, because we have all the whole text before you, and maybe it's a good idea that everybody can choose a topic, one of the 6 parameters, and then try to have at least maybe 20-30 minutes per sort of writing something that you can read to, you can then read out in terms of what the perfection of wisdom constitute, and how the practice of the right motivation is most important, with altruistic motivation, and then how this can be incorporated with any of the 6 parameters. So if everyone choose one of the parameters and then go through the text and look at all the motivational factors that one needs to have, and then various factors like the 4 Noble Truths and the various things that we talked about each parameter. If people spend a bit of time and write something on the basis of text before you have, then I thought it would be good exercise and we can have it that everybody of course who are attending this will be attending. The others also can listen in. So I'm going to sort of choose, let you all know which date that will be very soon, and then give everybody some opportunity to prepare something from the text you have. So that will be not only good exercise for you, because if we study something, if you learn something, it's good to put, listening to it is one thing, reading is another, but being able to write it on your own words and then try to explain it to people will be great, I would say, exercise. So that's going to happen. That once the text comes to you, I'll write a format in which you can do that. So so that's a little bit of imposition on you, but I'm sure you wouldn't. We are all friends, and I'm not marking anybody or anything like that. Everybody will be lovely to hear from everybody's studious way of looking at it. So if some of you might two people might choose one of the parameters, doesn't matter, because you will have opportunity to share. So does that agree with all of you? That's good. Oh, that's good. Yeah. So we have finished all the chapters here, but we are now going over the last few verses that Rongton is summarizing. And last week he talked about the analogy of the loving kindness and the sun's rays of the sun, the solar mandala of the Maitreya Buddha's teaching, because it's the Maitreya's teaching on the Mahayana Sutra Alankara that is the main Indian text that is the most source of monastic curriculum. One of the textbooks of all the monasteries are writing by Maitreya. So Rongton drew all the ideas from that, and he says the warm rays of light giving meaning to life. So when you understand the meaning of perfection wisdom, that is very carefully taught by Maitreya, and then you will find these warm rays of life, warm rays of the sun, warming your life, warming your life that is otherwise quite chill, quite cold. And I'm not talking here weather-wise. Sometimes you feel sad or hurt or misunderstood or you feel very cold and you feel like curling up and not want to do anything. So it's good to have the rays of the sun shining on us. And it says the bright and beautiful flower blossoms with deep meanings. Yeah, So when you pay your attention to the Dharma and particularly these teachings, and then your flower blossoms and with deep meanings, because flower blossoms give happiness to everyone who looks at the flower. So when you smile and when you're cheerful, and when you're tender and when you're loving and when you're wise, when you're careful, of course it will give meaning to people to have you as a sister or husband or mother or wife or uncle or auntie or whatever it is. They really feel delighted their mother or their husband or their friend is so lovely and tender and kind and generous, because lots of people are not only depressed by their own predicament, but they are surrounded by so many depressed people. Most of them are not blossoming because they're not having the sun isn't shining in their life, because they're turning to wrong material. They're probably reading wrong materials. The material Dharma is such a positive material, because once you pay your attention, it makes us to recognize we have Buddha nature, and we bloom. We bloom ourselves, streaming nectar of profound, streaming nectar of profound instruction would have quenched the thirst. See, Rongton says, would have now quenched the thirst of all those people who've been thirsty, who've been drinking a lot but still thirsty, eating a lot but still hungry, read a lot of books but still not enough. They study these but still always looking for a meaning. So he says, streaming the nectar of profound instruction would have quenched the thirst of those who have been fortunate to drink this elixir. So this Rongton is this summarizing. He says, hopefully people have quenched the thirst, letting the river of awareness of knowledge to flow into your life, because now you are irrigating your life. Otherwise your farm will be drought. There's a drought of happiness, the drought of generosity, drought of kindness, drought of all. But when this river of awareness has been irrigating into your field of life, so your life has been likened as a field. The listening to the teaching has been likened to irrigating and letting the river of awareness, of knowledge, to flow, flooding the plains of mistaken valleys of wrong view. It's beautiful, isn't it? So, it's just totally flooding. The New South Wales, Queensland border area, I hear they're flooding. Yeah, like that. Hopefully your mind, life are all flooded by the flood has totally removed the mistaken valleys, the wrong views. Valleys full of wrong view has been completely flooded with understanding. Flooded with understanding. Flooding with your understanding, the festival of jewel in the crown among the learned. Then you realize, you will see the teaching of perfection wisdom is the jewel in the crown of all the learnings you have had, because now you no longer have the wrong views. You no longer have the wrong views, or at least you recognize the wrong views. That's a very good one. At least you know to recognize wrong views. You have now highlighted the wrong views and not the wrong people or wrong things. Wrong views of your own self. Wrong views about things. Impermanent things are permanent. Usually we have the wrong view. Now we know all things are impermanent. There's not a single thing that is permanent. So everything is marked as impermanent. That's impermanent. That's impermanent. This is perishable. That's perishable. That's perishable. If you work in the woolies, they write them. Next hour it doesn't sell, they'll go in the bin. It's like that. Quite a lot of things are no longer relevant. Yeah, all the wrong views have now been recognized and deleted. That's been flooded by the right views. Flooded by the right. You thought he was wrong. You thought he was aggressive. You thought someone was not kind to you. Those are the wrong views and now flooded. And you thought, and all of the wrong views are flooded by the teachings. As a result of this, you no longer suffer from the drought, and you have bountiful crops because you have irrigated your life, and therefore now the jewel-like festival of harvest. You are now harvesting in your life, and the crown of learned wisdom is the harvest. Wisdom is the harvest. It's not a kind of. I'm sorry, we don't issue a certificate attending this course. It's very misleading thinking that you have a. But the most important thing is the wisdom that you attain from this. That is the harvest. This great pool is the path where all the wise will relish knowledge. So, can you see the image? Rongton is giving the image of firstly flooding the river of knowledge into the plains of mistaken views, and then as a result of that, you are now harvesting. Now you are harvesting this gem of right views and wisdom, and therefore the pool that has been formed is the pool of knowledge. This pool has been likened as a knowledge. Your now ocean of knowledge is the path where all the wise relish knowledge. Yeah. So you are now become wise, and you relish and enjoy the knowledge because you're now you are just completely in the pool of knowledge. Perfection of wisdom has to be pool of knowledge. It's not a small handful of water we're talking about. We're talking about ocean of knowledge. His Holiness Dalai Lama's name is Dalai Lama is ocean of wisdom. Ocean of wisdom. Yeah. If you understand perfection wisdom, you might borrow His Holiness Dalai Lama's name too. Ocean of wisdom is not an individual person's name. Ocean of wisdom is one whoever understands perfection of wisdom. And then it says, the solar radiance spreading to the 10 direction, of the excellent teaching arisen from the thorough churning of the stirring ladle of the critical knowledge. Yeah, so you have to stir. Yeah, it's giving the amazing analogy of the stirring ladle of the critical knowledge. So you shouldn't accept the teachings with just blind faith, and because it says so. But you need to use your rational and learning what is the truth of suffering, what is the origin of suffering, what are the wrong view, why they are wrong, what are the right view, why the right view, why is the Dharma is like the nectar and like a flower. All the analogies given, you need to use these much heard teachings as the and then you need to learn how to churning, the thorough churning of stirring ladle of critical knowledge. So when you do the kirchit, then is rising high in the vast space of intelligence. So whatever you have stirred and found from the knowledge of listening to these teachings, it would have given you this very high wisdom that has great relevance to apply in everyday life. Hundreds of wise here in the land of snows. Now this is Rongton talking, in 15th century. He came at a time that Tibetan Buddhism enjoyed the most amazing heydays, most highest number of scholars. He was actually the teacher of all those scholars of his time. It's said that nobody had as many students as Rongton had, because he was such a great learned master. Hundreds of wise here in the land of snows did not previously have the opportunity to read. So he's now saying this text has not been read by many people because nobody has written this but he. Here I unveil the hitherto unknown noble path of the stages of profound path of victor's mothers. So he's talking about the perfection wisdom is such a voluminous text, like 16 volumes or 12 volumes or 8 volumes or 1 volume, or they are so vast. Most people read it out of religious merit. They get the lamas to come their home and ask them to read 10, 12 of them and stay there 2 days, 3 days and read the whole thing. But nobody is explaining that to anybody. They simply have the text in the home and have read and they think. So he is saying, Rongton is saying that nobody has actually read such succinct synopsis of this perfection wisdom like this. But here I unveil the hitherto unknown. So this Rongton's writing is quite a unique. Of the stages of profound path to the victor's mother. So this perfection wisdom is the text of perfection wisdom, and as well as deity perfection wisdom. And this was composed by the second omniscient Rongton. So this is referring to Rongton, who is author of this, wrote this, who possessed the might of study, contemplation, meditation. So this is probably is added by a compiler. This erudite Pandita and consummate master who spent day and night teaching, debating, and writing. So this is definitely written by one of his students who compiled this. What we are talking about here is the colophon. So talking about by the thousandfold light of merit composing these, because this was written in 1500. And now we are in 21st century, so 600 year work. That's pretty good, isn't it? You think your novel will be read in 600 years' time? The book, if your book gets read and studied in 600 years' time, it's pretty good. So he said, by the thousandfold light of the merit of composing these, may the lotus grove of Buddha Dharma blossom. You see, they're dedicating, and by dispelling the darkness of ignorance of beings, because the darkness here is the wrong view. Darkness here is the wrong view in thinking that things are created by people to us, or everything's done by people to us, and what it is, we don't realize how much role we ourselves play. By dispelling the darkness of ignorance of beings, may the vision of ultimate meaning radiate. So it's dedicating that may the vision is like a sight. So after reading and listening to the perfection wisdom, you will gain a sight. You will get a sight, is insight. This is a very not an ordinary sight of going on a lookout, not a lookout. This is not lookout sight, This is think insight. Think insight. Not looking out there and try to find a sight there. Not that. Think inside, thinking every time. Always checking your thought, your intention, your thought, your awareness or lack of it, your compassion or lack of it, how much it makes a difference. That kind of insight. Your mind is completely always aiming for the sight to see the mind at work. Not necessarily seeking to see something outside, but try to find the sight from within one's own mind. So, with sincere devotion, sincere motivation for the benefit of sentient beings, the great adept Rongton Sheja Kunrig composed these near the 5-peak mountain in Tibet. So there is a special place that is attributed to Manjushri in China, but Tibet got a kind of miniature holy place attributed to Manjushri, who, having fully comprehended the essence of all the sutras and tantras, at the joint request of many scholars and teachers. Rongton wrote this at the joint request of many scholars and teachers, who with sound familiarity in the understanding of the perfection of wisdom, listen, teach, and have dedicated in doing one-pointedly meditation on this subject. So Rongton himself has written a number of other texts on the perfection of wisdom. As I mentioned at the very beginning, this is the one that is written very, very spontaneously, not strictly following some guidelines or structure or of any other text, but he just wrote spontaneously. The secretarial assistance was provided by Yalungpa Namka Palden. So this is one of the Rongton's disciple. He probably dictated them. In those days, dictated, teacher, the author dictates and someone write very fast. A devout exponent of scriptures himself. And so now it is the lineage of this practice, names of the teacher who came down, this teaching came down through. So the homage to the divine and human preceptors, because Buddha Rongton said at the very beginning there are three types of spiritual friend: the enlightened spiritual friend, human spiritual friend, and wisdom spiritual friend. So here he's referring to homage to the divine and human. Divine refers to the enlightened spiritual friend, and human spiritual friend, possessor of treasure of perfect goodness, Lord of sages, Maitreya. So Maitreya, it is the belief that Maitreya appear in the vision of Asanga. Asanga came in 4th century. So Asanga was a very devout Indian monk who spent 12 years meditation retreat. And during that, then Maitreya appeared at the end of this 12th year, and then they took him to Shita heaven and gave all the 5 signs of Maitreya. So this teaching comes from Maitreya to Asanga, and then Asanga gave to his otherwise Theravadan brother Vasubandhu, but then his elder brother Asanga was converted his ex-Theravadan Vasubandhu as a Mahayana exponents. So this Asanga and Vasubandhu brothers are to whom these teachings are attributed, not Nagarjuna. There is 2 teaching line of the Buddhist philosophy in Mahayana Buddhism. There's a teaching that came from Nagarjuna is the profound one. Teaching that came through to the Asanga brothers, Vasubandhu Asanga brother, is vast. It's called vast. And then through Vasubandhu it came through Aryadeva. Aryadeva is both a disciple of Nagarjuna as well as Vasubandhu and the venerable Indian and so on. So it talks about various, about 26 generations. There were about 26 generations from the early one. And then homage to Tampa. Tampa refers to Patampa Sangye in Tibet, and then Tsarchen, Patsab Gomchen, and Patsab Gomchen, Shikpo Nyima, Sonam Pala, Kunga Waser, Drupchen Kepa. These are some of the the names of the lineage of this practice. And then Hermit Wangchuk, Kunchen Sultim, Sangye Wen, Kunchen Rinpoche, Tingri Choje, Logyam, the second Buddha. So these are the names of all those teachers who came down. And then it says, gods flocked when you taught sacred Dharma. So this talking about when Rongton taught. Rongton was a great scholar and master and abbot in the great ancient Tibetan university called Sangpu. That's outside Lhasa. And he says that gods flocked when you taught sacred Dharma. When Rongton taught, not only human beings and thousands of students flocked from everywhere, but also even the gods flocked to hear him teach. To the ocean of congregation in the glorious Sangpu. Sangpu is the name of the monastery in outside Lhasa. Great shower of flowers fell for many months of years. Yeah, whenever Rongton gave teachings, there were a lot of miraculous happenings. People saw him not only giving teaching, but many mystical experiences of when Rongton was teaching. A lot of heavenly showers fell for not just for a little while, for months and years. Homage to Rongton, the gods of gods. So seating seating the lion throne when you debated and dropped the thunderbolt of perfect reason. You destroy the high peak of dialectics arrogance. I bowed under the feet of the triumphant Lord. So this is eulogizing Rongton. When he was such a great debater, whoever came to debate with him, his thunderbolt of reasoning on the perfection of wisdom would destroy even the highest peaks of wrong views. Highest peaks of wrong views are destroyed by a thunderbolt. So if there was a thunderbolt, it hits on the highest peaks. So Rongton's rational, logical mind was the thunderbolt, and those who held dialectical wrong views, the peak of those mountains were destroyed, bowed under truth to the feet of a triumphant Lord. When you cross the ocean shore through composition, so now this is talking about Rongton's quality of debate, composition, and meditation. When you cross the ocean shore through composition, beautifying the golden banner of victory of the sage's doctrine. So meaning Rongton's writing, composition, has beautified and has become an undisputed, textbook of many monasteries. Rongton is the only Sakya master's textbooks which are used as textbooks in many non-Sakya monasteries because of his writing is so great. And you spread the garland of wish-fulfilling gems of good sayings. O Lord of Dharma, guide us to fulfill all hopes of beings. So this eulogy is to the writings of Rongton. Rongton's writing is 14 volumes. I've got all of them here. It was quite a lot of his writing. At least like 6 volumes are lost or forged by some people, and we don't know where they are. But the 14 volumes has been published in 2006, and so here this perfection wisdom is one quarter of one of those 14 volumes. You spread the garland of wish-granting gems of good sayings. O Lord of Dharma, guide me to fulfill all hopes of beings. It's meaning that Rongton's writing is such a beautiful jewel of gems of good sayings, and whoever studies them. And one of the things that Rongton wrote is also the commentary on the Kamalashila's stages of meditation. That's a very lengthy text. That's one of my many translation projects still in the pipeline. To Sonampal, Trushik Dharmashap, Chenga Palchen, Kunga Tundu, and Chegya Shirawa, homage to hidden adepts. So this is paying homage to number of those successors of Rongton. The storehouse of treatises of Indo-Tibetan scholars. So talking about how much Tibet is such an isolated, landlocked country, but the number of books that we have in Tibet on Buddhism could not match anybody's writing. The commentaries on Buddhism, all the Indians people wrote many, we say there's about 200 volumes. But in Tibet, one monk wrote 100 volumes. 100 volumes. His name is Podong Penchen, not to mention many others. So we actually have more writings by Tibetans on Buddhism that is cannot be matched by any number of scholars, even from India, let alone other counter Buddhism. So that's a storehouse of treatises of Indo-Tibetan scholars, the treasure of inexhaustible knowledge derived from the thought of the Buddhas, the delightful grove of lush trees derived from meditation. Homage to the incomparable Dharma Lord Rongton's feet. So they're using the example of storehouse of Rongton, the treatises written by Indian and Tibetan scholars. And in the storehouse, what do you find? Is the storehouse has a beautiful treasure that is all the amazing thoughts, minds of those great scholars, and this all derived from the delightful grove of meditation. these thoughts are not just thoughts. This came from realization of the grove of meditation. So these great masters wrote these things because they realized it was their realizations. They just became revealers. It became revelations of their understanding. With captivating, beautiful forms and melodious sounds, choicest divine incense, excellent delicacies, and nectar like food, and with soft, supple, pleasant, and bliss-giving tactile, I always honor and worship these teachings. So this is the colophon written by the editors, talking about how delightful Dharma is for those who can see, how delightful Dharma is. Dharma is a melodious thing for the people can listen. How aromatic choices like incense, like aromatic Dharma is for anybody who wanted to smell, and how delicious food it is for those who want to eat. So Dharma is not just to listen on Tuesdays, but eat, watch, listen, eat, watch, listen, smell, eat, listen, smell. And it is also very soft and supple for your body to wear. With soft and supple, pleasant, bliss-giving tactile. Yeah. When you're thinking of Dharma, you feel completely wrapped in nice cotton wools. You feel. I always honor and worship the holy Dharma. With full power, I confess all my transgressions. So now this is talking about the editor is so enchanted by the contents of this text, he is confessing with the four powers: power of regret, power of reliance, power of promise, and power of restoration. With the four powers, I confess all my transgressions. They are conventional and natural misdemeanors. So he's talking about all his own transgressions and infractions, both pratimoksha, bodhisattva, and all the vows that we have. With my sincere heart, I rejoice everyone's meritorious deeds, the past, present, and future. So the author, so the editor here is rejoicing everybody's good deeds, and he is confessing all of his own infractions and transgressions from his sincere heart. By having got this opportunity for him to do this, write this colophon as part of the being an editor. I request all skillful masters who are wise to show the nectar of sacred Dharma to all beings. So he's requesting everybody who have the great knowledge and wisdom to share the nectar of Dharma to all sentient beings, because they can never hear enough. And he's requesting everyone to teach Dharma, to show the nectar of Dharma to all sentient beings. It's only most sentient beings are deprived of Dharma because nobody has explained and taught to them. So if one person doesn't teach, many people wouldn't hear, and this kind of text will never be discovered or studied or text. So he says, I request all to teach and show this nectar of sacred Dharma to all beings, never displaying passing away from nirvana. So he's requesting the teachers and scholars to live long, because of course they will pass away. It's just saying, try to extend your time, try to delay your flight to next world. Just like the COVID, COVID is good for delaying flights. It's very good. So please delay leaving samsara, and live. Please stay on in this world. I beseech you to live long as the friend of poor migratory beings. Yeah, it's amazing. He's writing this like a message. Everyone to please live long. There's so many helpless sentient beings who are blind, who lost direction, lost their way, and haven't got lots of hope left. So he says, please stay on, teach the Dharma to beings. Om Sotis, a clear and concise method of practicing the quintessence of long, medium, and brief perfection wisdom of the Great Mother has emerged from the ocean of the knowledge of the mighty Rongton. He says this writing you will see the Perfection Wisdom has very long text, like 16 volumes, as I said, mentioned, and the medium version is 4 volumes. Short version is 8,000 verses, just one volume. He says all of this has been distilled in this very text from the mighty knowledge of Rongton. These very synthesized meaning of the whole Perfection Wisdom in those very big volumes has been put in these volumes. In order to bring to light the good fortune of this feast of nectar that did not exist formally. Yeah, there were no such a text written like this prior to this, There is a Heart Sutra, but most people read Heart Sutra, they don't know what to make of it, because it's so terse and so hidden. So meanings are very, very difficult to uncode. So that did not exist formally, has been released from the wondrous art of printing, from the citadel of Lundup Ting's kingdom. This is a monastery in Eastern Tibet, the largest Sakya monastery in Eastern Tibet. They did all the printing of Rongton's work, Rongton's work, because we have much bigger following of the Sakya monasteries in Eastern Tibet than in Central Tibet. Even though Rongton himself is from Eastern Tibet, but he studied and became great master in Central Tibet. He never managed to travel to his home or Eastern Tibet. So they did the printing of this work in Lundup Ting Monastery. Now it's near Sining. Near Sining, there is a huge Tibetan monastery called Yushu. Had a couple of years ago, they had terrible earthquake affected them, but the monastery been beautifully rebuilt and amazing. So they are the one who actually printed these texts. May the sprout of Victor, the Lord of land, and 10 powers of the white light, of the youthful moonbeams of good deeds, cause the teachings to spread and live long. So now the editor here, Pendit Tsutim Rinchen, who was also the compiler of the collection of all the Buddhist texts, he puts his writing at the end. So he says, may the teaching spread far and wide. So that concludes our text. And I will email you in the next few days the second half of this text to you all. And then I said you all, and then I will send you a little after that how your writing should be. Your writing doesn't have to be presented to us or anybody unless you want to. But main thing is you read out at the weekend that we're going to ask everybody to do. So if your writing is about 20 minutes of writing, 20 minutes of reading, that will be good. So we will have a weekend of that. There's at least about 20 of you there, and so then we will be able to make a good offering, because these people have requested the people to teach, and how everybody in the West is so literate. They all can write and read very well. And they have written so many assignments, probably nobody reads except the marker. But they write something that anybody can listen. Oh, this is Perfection Wisdom on the one of those 6 parameters or 10 parameters. And if you can do it, so I'll give you the actual contents, how they should be, and then as well as the whole text to you. So it will be very good for your brothers and sisters in samsara to be able to hear it written by you and presented by you. So that's what we're going to do by way of honoring the study we have done on this. So now we will do the Heart Sutra, and last time we did the first part of the Heart Sutra. Now today we will do the last part of the meditate on the last part of the Heart Sutra. So we will do the screen sharing of the Heart Sutra, everyone. That is the really gist of the Perfection Wisdom. So when we're reading the Heart Sutra, of course, you try to reflect on the meaning best as you can. Of course, this is more like a dialogue between Avalokiteshvara and Shariputra, but we need to understand subjectively those meanings. So we will go as far as we covered last week, and then after that I'll lead you into the meditation on that particular section, because main point of the meditation is just imagine everybody gathered in Vulture's Peak, and thousands of the arhats and bodhisattvas and Shakyamuni Buddha, the presiding over, and there then this conversation on the nature of the five aggregates and so on took place. So we will read through now. To the perfection of wisdom, the Blessed Mother, I pay homage. Thus I have heard. At one time, the Blessed One Bhagavan was dwelling in Rajgriha on Virtue's Peak, together with a great assembly of Sanghas and great assembly of Bodhisattvas. At that time, Blessed One was absorbed in samadhi on the enumeration of phenomena called the profound illumination. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva, the Mahasattva, Superior Avalokiteshvara, was contemplating on the meaning of the profound perfection wisdom, and he saw that the five aggregates also empty of inherent existence. Then, through the power of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to the Bodhisattva, the Mahasattva, the Superior Avalokiteshvara, how should a son or daughter of good lineage train who wishes to practice profound perfection wisdom? Thus he spoke. The Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Superior Avalokiteshvara said this to Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of good lineage wishes to practice profound perfection wisdom should view in this way, that should correctly view the five aggregate also as empty of inherent existence. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form, emptiness not other than form, form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composition factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, in the same way, all phenomena are merely empty, they are without characteristic, they are not created, they do not cease, they have no impurity, they are not devoid of impurity, they do not decrease and increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composition factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, and no phenomena. There is no I element, and so forth, up to mind, no mind element, up to elemental mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance, so forth. There is no aging and death, and no exhaustion of aging and death. In the same way, there is no suffering, no origin, no cessation, no path, no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. So that's as far as we got through last week. So now, which means that the meditation on the emptiness of five aggregates, a meditation on the emptiness of the 18 ayatanas. 18 ayatanas are the six sense organs, six sense objects, and then six sense consciousness. And then after that, meditating on the what we call the 8 profundities. So that's also covered. And then meditating on the 12 links of interdependent origination. That is that even the ignorance or volition or consciousness and so on, of all the 12 links of interdependent origination, none of these are truly exist. So we shouldn't be too overwhelmed by ignorance, because even ignorance does not truly exist. Because ignorance is also dependently originated. When you know the ignorance dependently originated, it can also be dependently stopped. Because ignorance can be, if there is no truly existent ignorance, there couldn't be truly existent volition, and mental formation. And if there's no truly existing volition, this is very important. Most people think that that someone's action or your own action, whether they were extremely good or extremely unliked by other people, a lot of people think they are that. I'm the one who failed that, and they always put this stigma and think that there's truly exists me who is the volition. The volition that we created, is totally dependently originated. It does not exist independently and truly. Your action was nothing. Say if you urinated in the forest and nobody saw it, it's okay, isn't it? but if you urinate in a Hyde Park and the police caught you, yeah, so it's totally dependently originated. Hyde Park is not ordinary forest, so you have to be careful there. But even if you find, a couple of years ago, I remember one senator or somebody was charged for urinating somewhere. I think it wasn't the senator. I think their urinating wouldn't be not a problem, but they were senators, so they shouldn't be urinating like that. So even such volition or action of somebody, and people usually curse themselves or someone for doing one thing, and they never see him or her as totally different person. They still stigmatize that person with the action. So if you have perfection wisdom, you should meditate on the lack of inherent existence of an action by itself. The action, the agent, the object, all are interdependently originated. And most actions are created out of ignorance, unconsciously. And if it wasn't the unconscious action, it wouldn't be a kind of a action that would have harmed somebody. So therefore, there is no truly existing ignorance. How could there be any truly existing action that is consummated under ignorance? Because without ignorance, there is no wrong action. If you didn't know, urinating in Hyde Park is not a wrong thing to do, you would be pretty blissful doing it, But except when you get caught, I suppose, then of course you have to answer it. Otherwise, so people didn't know that it's not supposed to do. Usually they let you go because you didn't know, because what you didn't know was innocent. So therefore, most of our ignorance is out of unconsciousness, poor thing. So if somebody did something wrong, we should meditate on the lack of ignorance of theirs, and there's only dependently ignorance of theirs. They did this. When you do that meditation on each of the 12 links of interdependence, then there will be no cause of samsara that is usually caused by ignorance. There will be no aging and no death, no exhaustion, aging and death. In the same way that there's no suffering. So that there's the Four Noble Truths. Even there is no truly existing suffering. Even suffering does not truly, permanently, independently, inherently exist. Even suffering is dependently originated, and nor is there any origin of suffering that is inherently existing, independently existing, or inherently existing. There is only origin of suffering that is consummated under the sway of affliction and karma. And so therefore there is no origin of wrongdoing. He says, in this society we try to blame someone who is to blame. We try to blame one person so that everybody else think they didn't contribute anything, which is quite a missing the whole point. It's like seeing how whole roof collapse, and then you see which nail should be blamed that broke. It's whole roof is dependent on many parts, many pieces. So there is no one thing that is entire. So there's nothing that is one. Nothing is origin of everything. That's why when you think about everything created by God, all the concepts of creation is a big problem. Because you think there is a truly existing cause, they think there is a truly existing result, and so on and so forth. So the Buddhist teaching is very important and said there is no real suffering, there is no even an origin, there is no cessation, there is no truly existing cessation, nor is there a truly existing path. Even Buddhist path is not truly existing. It is empty of inherent existence. It's very important. There is no truly existing path if there is no passengers. The path doesn't appear without passengers. Probably paths are created by the passengers, So there is no truly existing path, whether it's spiritual or whether it's who goes to Mecca unless they are Muslims, There's no Mecca that is very important. Those people in Bodh Gaya, the Hindus and Muslims, they don't think it's Bodh Gaya. That's a market where they can sell things to the tourists. They don't go to the Bodhi tree as a holy spot, Why? There's no truly existing holy site. Because it is, then it will be to everyone. No, therefore there is no path or no destination, no exalted wisdom. So it's very important. Buddhism is not exalted wisdom. It is exalted wisdom, but it's not truly inherently exalted wisdom. It has to be comparison. It is in comparison to those very sort of unconvincing religious ideas of other religions. Yes, there is an exalted wisdom. You can't say Buddhist wisdom is amazing unless there's a not so exalted wisdoms. So exalted wisdom itself is dependent on non-exalted wisdom. So even wisdom we shouldn't be too attached to as truly existing. Likewise, there is no real attainment, no non-attainment. So that's where we finished last week. Therefore, Shariputra, because bodhisattvas have no attainment, so the bodhisattvas have actually no attainment. They're not seeking any attainment. So this paragraph is about how all the enlightened ones relied upon the meditation on the perfection. They depend on and abide in the perfection wisdom. Yeah, so because perfection wisdom is not an attainment. Perfection wisdom is a transcending the attainment, attainer, and act of attaining. So therefore, they depend on and perfection of wisdom, which is meditation on emptiness, because their mind is without obstruction, because they are not grasping to something as truly object that you must reach to, like a destination. Nirvana is not a destination. Nirvana is every step you take in the samsara is a nirvana. There is no destination called nirvana, because nirvana means cessation of sorrow. Nirvana means where your sorrows are proven to be lack of inherent existence. When your sorrows has been terminated, you don't have to go to nirvana. Then the nirvana is a cessation of sorrow. So because the bodhisattvas have no obstruction in their mind, they are without fear. They don't have fear. So this is talking about when your mind understand emptiness, even death you will not be fearful of death. You will not be fearful of old age. You will not be fearful of sickness. You will not fearful of losing things, because they have without fear. When you realize perfection, wisdom, emptiness, there is no fear. There is no depression. There's no sense of loss. There's no sense of failure. All these are because one is so full of self, try to grasp, try to attain, try to get somewhere as a actually fixed destination. So having completely passed beyond all errors, meaning that when one no longer have the grasping to self as truly existing when it doesn't exist at all, so one has completely no error. When there is no I and no I am, then there is nothing. You can't say you did this to me, you did that to me, because there is none of the errors that we think is done by others to us. It only exists because of us, not because they did it. There is no error that people can commit unless it is us who is there in front of them or in relation to them. So the error of somebody is only in relation to somebody else, So if there's no car coming from the other side or either side, you're the only one on the road, there is no accident, no errors. So there's no truly existing a kind of a driving error that you can make unless they are in relation to other cars, other passengers, other road users. So therefore, every single error is completely gone beyond all errors, because you have gone transcended that. They go to the completion nirvana. The completion nirvana is they no longer have to do anything. There is no doer. There's no doing. There's nothing to be done. That's good. Don't you think it's a good idea to think like that? Then you don't have all the stress and all anxiety. What is to be done? Doesn't mean you don't have some things to do for each other, but in the end you don't get so hard up that that wasn't right, it shouldn't be like that, and get so they go to the completion nirvana. Completion nirvana is sorrowless state. Sorrowless state is sorrow comes from clinging. Sorrow comes from clinging and grasping as this is the way to do, that isn't the way to do. This dualistic. So sorrow is quashed. Completion of nirvana is realized when there is no comparison. All Buddhas who abide in three times, means all the Buddhas, past Buddhas, three times means past, present, and future. All the Buddhas in the past, such as Kashyapa, Kanaka Muni, Karkuchanda, all of those past Buddhas, as well as present Buddha like Shakyamuni, as well as the future Buddha like Maitreya, having relied upon the perfection wisdom, became manifestly perfect Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment. He says that all the Buddhas became enlightened because through the perfection wisdom. Perfection wisdom is therefore the mother. Mother is the one who gives birth. Likewise, those who give realization of the meaning of the perfection wisdom, then they actually all come to realize the meaning of perfection wisdom. So that paragraph is when we are talking about these 10 parameters, and each of the 10 parameters will give you this realization once your mind is without any of the obstruction. So therefore, when you practice the 10 parameters, you necessarily go through the 5 paths. So here, therefore, the mantra of perfection wisdom is the mantra of great knowledge. That is for the path of accumulation. Path of accumulation, this mantra doesn't mean the mantra itself. Mantra means this idea is the great knowledge. The word itself, gate, paragate, is the mantra, but actual knowledge is that transcends self. First gate is path of accumulation. Path of accumulation and merit is when a person is practicing on the perfection wisdom and path of accumulation, he or she has to make a vow to eradicate self and to adopt others, while cherishing others as the meritorious practice, and to eradicate the grasping self as the biggest obstacle to it. So therefore, the mantra of great perfection wisdom is the mantra of great knowledge to adopt bodhicitta and to drop selfish citta. So people say, to drop the selfish citta and adopt the bodhicitta and making a vow to do that is the path of accumulation. Gate. Gate means now gone. Gone means gone from grasping to self. You have dropped that and you have now left and no longer are talking about poor me or that, because you're on a path of accumulation. Path of accumulation. So that's therefore it says the mantra of the perfection wisdom, which is gate, paragate, parasamgate, is the mantra of great knowledge on the person on the level of the path of accumulation. That's the first of the 5 paths. And then when a person progresses from that, the unsurpassed mantra, once they actually understand emptiness, not just conceptually, but also by meditating and reflecting on that, then they will realize that meditation on the perfection wisdom is the most peerless mantra. Unsurpassed mantra means it is the greatest wisdom, and that cannot be matched or comparable to any kind of other knowledge. Even rocket science, even going to the moon, all these things are only just to go to the moon, but it would not do anything. So here, therefore, this is the path of preparation. Path of preparation is a great accomplishment for a beginner practitioner. And the mantra equal to the unequal refers to the path of seeing. When you have the path of seeing is insight. When you have the insight of seeing the emptiness of self, not only previously out of vow and out of conduct, but out of meditation, you have now realized the emptiness of self. So that's the mantra equal to the unequaled. Mantra equal to the unequaled refers to the path of seeing. Path of seeing. So it is very perfection wisdom itself in gradation that takes you to the different levels of the 5 paths. And now that when you reach the 3rd path, which is path of seeing, you have already reached the first bhumi. And then from there on, because that you have reached to a level of realizing that is equal to that everything is unequaled. Everything that is you could not match it, now this is equal to that. That's the insight of seeing the emptiness of self. The mantra that thoroughly pacifies all sufferings is the path of meditation. Now, when the Bodhisattva reach first bhumi and then go from that stage to all the way to higher stages of the Bodhisattva's bhumis, then they don't have any suffering. The mantra that thoroughly pacifies suffering. They don't have sufferings. They don't see the suffering as truly existing at all. They don't even see self. How could suffering exist when your self doesn't exist? When you realize emptiness of self, of course there is no suffering to pacify. All suffering has been pacified because there is no grasping to the self. Now you're deeply in the meditative absorption of the path of meditation. In the path of meditation is where you're deeply delving into the meditative, immovable meditative state of diamond-like meditation, ocean-like meditation, or mountain-like meditation. So your meditation is so deep that no suffering will jolt you or agitate you. It doesn't mean that you as a bodhisattva don't feel the sufferings of others, but it means that oneself has no suffering. All of one's own sufferings are completely pacified. So that is the fourth path of meditation. And then the path of no more learning, it is said, because it is false, it should be known as the truth. Exactly. Now the real truth is path of no more learning, which is the perfection wisdom. The mantra of perfection wisdom is proclaimed. So those 5 phrases in that paragraph correspond to the gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhi. So bodhi is the 5th one. First 2 gates are the mundane path of accumulation and path of preparation. Then paragate is path of seeing, means thoroughly gone. And then parasangate means thoroughly gone. So gone beyond. Some people translate gone beyond. So that's gone beyond the ordinary mundane level and has therefore gone a state of the Buddhahood, the 8th Bodhisattva level. Then Bodhi is the 5th path of no more learning. So be it. So now we will chant the Heart Sutra. Sorry, the mantra, that section of mantra. We will read that paragraph. Okay. Therefore, Shariputra, because bodhisattvas have no attainment, they depend on and abide in the perfection wisdom. Because their minds are without obstruction, they are without fear. Having completely passed beyond all error, they go to the completion nirvana. All the Buddhas who abide in the 3 terms, having relied upon the perfection wisdom, became manifestly perfect Buddhas, in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom is the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, mantra equal to the unequaled, mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering. Because it is not false, it should be known as the truth. Mantra of perfection wisdom is proclaimed. So let's now chant the mantra, and whether you're chanting out loud or whisperingly or mentally, mainly meditate on the meaning of the perfection wisdom. Whether you practice generosity, whether you practice discipline, whether you practice perfection, when patience, however remarkable do you do, not only you need to practice them, but you need to transcend the ego that has practiced each of them, but not get attached to them as a perfection or perfectionist or the objects of perfection. And so with this in mind, we will chant the Om Tat Gate Gate Paraga Parasangati Bodhi. So while making a very nectar-like meditation of awareness of the emptiness of all things. Parangade Parasangade Bodhiso. Tadyada Angade Angade 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 Parangade Parangade Bodhisattva. Kadyada angade ngade parangade parazangade bodhisattva. Tadyada 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 Angade Ngade Parangade Parazangade Bodhiswa. 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 So in this way one meditates on the meaning of the profound perfection wisdom. As we enter into this what you call profound illumination, you become so aware of your mind, which itself is completely unfindable as color or shape or gender or anything like that. There isn't anything whatsoever that is the mind that we can locate, that we can identify, that we can take picture. It's not like that. It's only the confusing ourselves with the aggregate is the body. It's always the aggregate that actually mistake, that makes ourselves confused with. But actual mind and itself is a profoundly luminous illumination. Whatever feelings, perceptions, opinions, ups and downs, all are completely empty. So we are completely aware. We are completely, profoundly luminous in knowing they are all empty of inherent existence, and then staying compassion to those sentient beings who do not see this. And so that's why we are chanting this mantra, reciting, because sentient beings don't see this. And because of that, they are completely in the wrong view. And that's what the tragedy is. And we ourselves always remain in that state of profound illumination. And thus, any kind of pressing issues that your recent days or months are coming in your mind, you should think of them all empty of true existing. It's not empty of existence, but empty of lasting, enduring, independent, truly done by you at all. It's all dependent to many, many factors. And therefore we should not become so hardline views of anything. It only causes suffering. When you know how to see the emptiness of suffering, will you choose to go along that path when you can remain in the profound illumination, which is the meditation on the profound perfection of wisdom. That is the harvest. That is that beautiful light, rays of light of the Dharma shining into life, and we need to always switch our mind of the profound perfection of wisdom and its meanings. So with this now we will move on to read the rest of the Heart Sutra and finish it off. Shariputra, a bodhisattva, mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom in that way. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and said this to Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Superior Avalokiteshvara, well done, well done, well done, one of good lineage. It is just so, one of good lineage, it is like that. The profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced just as you have taught it. Even the Tathagatas will rejoice in this. The Blessed One, having so spoken, Venerable Shariputra, Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Superior Avalokiteshvara, all that are gathered there, and those of the worlds, gods, humans, demigods, Gandharas, who were filled with admiration and praise the words of the Blessed One. Tadyadam gade gade barangade barazangade bodhisattva. Tadyadam gade gade barang barazangade bodhisattva. Tadyadam gade gade barang barazangade bodhisattva. Namo, I pay homage to the Master, I pay homage to Buddha, I pay homage to the Dharma, I pay homage to the Sangha, I pay homage to Blessed Mother, perfection wisdom. By the power of paying homage to you, may our words of truth triumph. Just as long ago Shakra, the king of the gods, through the power of meditating on profound perfection, profound meaning, and reading the words of the Blessed Mother of the profound perfection wisdom, repel all the demonic obstacles and evil being and the like. So in the very same way, may we also, through the power of meditating on the profound meaning and reciting words of Blessed Mother, perfection of wisdom, be able to repel the obstacles to sound fact. May they be annihilated. May they be pacified. Namo, I pay homage to the Master, I pay homage to Buddha, I pay homage to Dharma, I pay homage to Sangha, I pay homage to Blessed Mother, profound perfection of wisdom. By the power of paying homage to you, may all our words of truth triumph. Just long ago, Shakra, the king of God, through the power of meditating on the profound meaning and reciting the words of Blessed Mother of the profound perfection wisdom, successfully repel all demonic obstacles and evil being and the like. So in the very same way, maybe also through the power of meditating on profound perfection wisdom, reciting words of Blessed Mother, profound perfection, wisdom, we also be able to repel obstacles and disarm the fact. May they be annihilated, may they be pacified. Namo, I pay homage to Master, I pay homage to Buddha, I pay homage to Dharma, I pay homage to Sangha, I pay homage to Blessed Mother, profound perfection. By the power of paying homage to your mere words of truth, just long ago, Chakra, the kingdom of gods, God, through the power of meditative and profound perfection wisdom, the words of truth, Blessed Mother, perfection wisdom, repel the demonic obstacles and all evil being and the like. So in the very same way, maybe also through the power of meditative and profound perfection wisdom, reciting the words of Blessed Mother, profound perfection wisdom, be able to repel the obstacles and dharma. May they be annihilated, may they be pacified, may all outer, inner obstacles to our attaining complete enlightenment be totally pacified. So in this way you can use this reading of Heart Sutra every day like that and try to illumine your mind on the meanings and whatever things, issues or memories or traumas or sadness, worries, people or things like that, you should all look at it with kindness and compassion. By not knowing emptiness, everybody's so stressed up and then they think it's this or that and they get so choking, poor thing, and build compassion, loving kindness to them. And then yourself meditating on the meaning and then irradiate compassion while resting in the meditation or emptiness. And then you're actually practicing generosity, you're practicing discipline, you're practicing all the 10 parameters while meditating on the profound meaning of the emptiness. So it's very, very powerful meditation. And so with this, we are now going to conclude this session and do the dedication merits, not only of tonight, but this very precious text of Rongton. Of course, the Tibetan text is in here, so you're all bumped by this text on your head, and some of the ridges of the wrong view are destroyed and pulverized, and so that you're all leveled in emptiness of pride or ego or wrong views or adverse views towards anybody. So see all of them with kindness and compassion, and we have very good reason to dedicate the merits. And as I said, I will be emailing you the rest of this text and instructions how to write a paper by yourself. That's about 20 minutes reading. That then we will arrange a time when we will all meet again. We will also invite the general public to be audience because they wanted to hear from their Aussie friends what their couple of bit over years listening to the Dharma has given them something to share, which will be very nice to, because our author here and editor saying asking people to teach, asking people to share. So if we sharing Dharma is the greatest thing. It's not your own sort of artwork or anything like that. If you have a nice artwork and that has won a prize, you try to show it to everybody. It's not like that. This is the Buddha Dharma's timeless art, timeless Nirmanakaya. So therefore we have very good reason to share to others. And when you have put this much time over the last year, a year and plus, and listening every Tuesday and giving your commitment and dedication with the fellowship of Sangha, all these things are a matter of great rejoice. So I'd like to thank everyone's dedication and commitment and studiously listening and contemplating and reflecting on these meanings. And of course, these thoughts and ideas behind these teachings are something we should always use them as our own thought. You should try to relish these thoughts and then try to level those suffering. It will pacify all the suffering, remember? Pacify all the sufferings. If there are any suffering, usually you don't find them anymore left because because they don't truly exist, you know. Because if you've been sweeping every day, the house is not so dirty. If you don't clean at all for months and months, then it looks dirty, like that. So if you regularly meditate on Heart Sutra, meditate on these meanings, it's a profound, profound illumination. That's for sure. So with this, we now dedicate the merit. Thank you, everyone. Om Vade Mere Me Ho Vaga Da Deva Dunzunga Neze Me Ale Verera Bevrande Oshana Dora Jasene Herenda Mahayana Buddhist Vadeva Merada Havagra Mehobi Bigas de Lavasa Truda Mahayana Buddhist Kareja Manjujrene Azama Drabadradila Valove Avadezamba Aishade Degavode Mere Mede Selembodijida Tebe Vedenayadaza Veda Vemba Mehedeng Preleveda Generation.
Rinpoche, on behalf of us all, I'd like to sincerely thank you very deeply and very profoundly for the incredible teachings you've given over this last year on Rongton's perfection of wisdom. I'd also like to thank all the people who have so generously contributed for allowing the teachings to be listened to and heard freely. It's an amazing teaching that I first heard when I just started in the Dharma, and it also ran over 4 terms, and I think I didn't have a clue what was going on. I didn't have a clue what it was about, and this time it just means very much more. And it's important for us all to hang in there and to keep at it, and however difficult it seems at first, Rinpoche shows us and he guides us and he leads us and he pushes us and pulls us along in so many different ways. It's just amazing. And so thank you so sincerely, Rinpoche, and I hope you take a little bit of a holiday. But what I'd like to say is that we've got some events coming up. Next week, on Thursday at 7 o'clock, there's going to be a public talk on anxiety, and it's on our website. It's a good idea to book for it because it's on Zoom, and you'll get the Zoom link there. It's free. There's also a day of meditation on the 18th of December, and that's a day when online and in person at Boulder, and people can turn up and have a day of meditation, doing various types of walking meditation and maybe sleeping yoga, sleeping meditation as well. I'm not trying meditation, I'm not sure. Then very soon, like tomorrow maybe, the White Tara retreat will come up on the website. And there's also the language course that's happening in early January. So please hang in there and join us. And again, thank you very much, Rinpoche, for all of this year and for the profundity of what you've given us. Okay. All the best, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.